My mom said her biggest mistake was getting old. She wasn't going to let me repeat it. My mother started injecting Botox into my face when I was 11 because she wasn't going to let me make the same mistake she did by waiting until wrinkles had already formed. She'd been trying to make up for lost times by getting constant procedures for as long as I could remember. Botox every 3 months, fillers twice a year, chemical peels monthly. When I looked at old pictures of her, I could see a woman with expressions, laugh lines, joy. Now she looked like a wax figure of herself, unable to move her face properly. When she tried to smile, only the corners of her mouth twitched upward. Her forehead was smooth and motionless as marble, but she still cried when she looked in the mirror. "It's all too late," she said. "Your face is my only hope." I didn't know what she meant until the first time she had her surgeon inject me instead of herself. "Just a little preventative Botox," Mom said cheerfully. "This is the solution." The needle went into my forehead over and over, tiny pricks of poison that made my muscles go dead. By that night, I couldn't raise my eyebrows, and Mom was thrilled. "Look how smooth," she kept saying. Not a single line. After that, the appointments never stopped. Every 3 months, we'd go together to get our injections. Mom added more areas each time. My forehead, my crow's feet even though I didn't have any, my bunny lines beside my nose. The doctor would joke that I was his youngest patient. "Starting early is smart," he'd say while paralyzing my face. "Your mother is a visionary." By 13, I couldn't make any expressions at all. My face was a mask. At school, I couldn't react normally to anything. I couldn't laugh properly at jokes, couldn't look sympathetic when friends were upset, couldn't even look interested during class. Teachers thought I was being disrespectful. Kids called me Robot Girl and Ice Queen. "Why don't you ever smile?" people would ask. I wanted to tell them I physically couldn't, but Mom had made me promise to never discuss our procedures. "Beauty secrets stay secret," she always said. "If everyone stayed young, you wouldn't be special." Mom's obsession went beyond just Botox. She forbade me from making any facial expressions even when the poison wore off between appointments. "Every movement creates wrinkles," she'd remind me constantly. No smiling, no frowning, no squinting. She'd snap her fingers in my face if she caught me moving any muscle. "Freeze!" she'd yell. "You're creating lines!" She made me practice keeping my face completely still in the mirror for hours. She even made me sleep with tape across my forehead to prevent unconscious expressions. The procedures escalated as I got older. Mom added preventative fillers to plump areas that might someday sag. My lips, my cheeks, my temples. "We're building a foundation," she explained. "By the time you're my age, you won't need reconstruction because we prevented the destruction." She started me on retinoids that made my skin peel constantly. LED light therapy every morning. Microneedling monthly. My face was always raw or swollen or numb from something. When I turned 16, I tried to refuse the next appointment. "I'm not going," I told Mom. "I want my face to move again." She laughed like I'd told a joke. "Don't be ridiculous. We have appointments booked through next year." I stood my ground. Said I wouldn't get in the car. That's when she showed me the contract she'd had me sign when I was 11. "You agreed to maintain your appearance under my guidance until you're 21, she said. "It's legally binding." I knew that was insane, but she'd already called the doctor who said I was being destructive and self-sabotaging. I started secretly missing appointments. I'd pretend to be sick or have school commitments. The Botox began wearing off after 4 months. I could finally move my eyebrows again. My forehead developed tiny lines when I concentrated. I was thrilled. Mom was horrified. "You're destroying everything we've built," she screamed when she noticed. "Years of prevention ruined." She booked an emergency appointment and had them inject double the usual amount. "This will last longer," she said, "since you can't be trusted." The double dose paralyzed more than just my forehead. My eyelids drooped. I couldn't fully close my eyes. Drool collected at the corners of my mouth because those muscles were affected too. I looked like I'd had a stroke, but Mom said it would settle. "A little overcompensation is better than wrinkles," she said. But when it didn't improve after 2 weeks, even she got nervous. The doctor said we'd have to wait for it to wear off naturally. It could take 6 months. That's when Mom decided regular procedures weren't enough anymore. She found a doctor in Brazil who did something called preventative surgical muscle removal. He literally removes the muscles that cause wrinkles. No muscle means no movement means no lines. It's permanent. I stared at her in horror. "We'll do it over winter break," she said. "By the time you're back at school, you'll be healed and perfect forever." I tried running away, but she'd put tracking apps on my phone and found me at the bus station. I tried calling child services, but she'd already told them I had body dysmorphia and was making up stories. I sit in my room the morning after Mom showed me the Brazil tickets. 6 weeks until she takes me out of the country for surgery I'll never recover from. My face still doesn't move right from the double dose. I catch myself in the mirror looking like someone who's already given up. My left eyelid droops lower than the right. The corner of my mouth sags. I try to raise my eyebrows, but nothing happens. The muscles are dead. I think about the Brazil doctor removing the muscles permanently and my stomach twists. Mom already paid the deposit. She already booked the hotel. The plane tickets sit in her purse downstairs. I've tried running away and she found me. I've tried calling for help and she got there first. I stare at my frozen face and know I'm running out of time. Monday morning, I walk into English class and wait until everyone settles into their seats. My teacher is writing the homework assignment on the board. I approach her desk and my hands shake. She turns around and I ask if I can speak with the counselor during study hall. She looks at my face for a long moment. Something in her expression shifts. She pulls out a hall pass and writes it without asking any questions. I take the slip of paper and my throat feels tight. I've never voluntarily gone to Miss Finch's office before. I'm out of options now. The counseling office is in the main building past the library. I walk there during third period when the halls are empty. My shoes squeak on the linoleum. I knock on the door with Ailsa Finch's name on it. She looks up when I knock. I must look terrible because she immediately closes her laptop and tells me to sit down. I lower myself into the chair across from her desk. She waits. I start talking and can't stop. Everything spills out about the injections and the tape and the contract and Brazil. The words come faster and faster. I tell her about the double dose and my drooping eyelid and the muscles that won't work anymore. I tell her about sleeping with tape on my forehead and not being allowed to make expressions. I tell her about the surgery in 6 weeks that will remove muscles permanently. She listens without interrupting once. Her face stays calm, but her pen moves across her notepad. When I finally stop talking, my chest hurts from breathing too fast. Ailsa sets down her pen and asks if she can take notes. I nod. She explains she's a mandated reporter, which means if I'm in danger, she has to tell someone. Panic rises in my chest. Mom will know. Mom will find out. But Ailsa says we'll figure this out together. Something about her calm voice makes me believe her. She doesn't sound scared or shocked. She sounds like she knows what to do. She asks if I've seen the school nurse about my face. I admit I've been avoiding the health office because Mom told me never to discuss our procedures. Ailsa picks up her phone and calls the nurse's extension. She asks if I can come by right now. The nurse says yes. Ailsa walks with me down the hall to the health office. The school nurse examines my drooping eyelid under the bright lamp. She asks how long I've had trouble closing my eyes completely. I tell her about the Botox 2 months ago. The double dose. She goes very still. Then she asks my age. 16. She writes everything down in my health file with today's date. Her handwriting is small and precise. She asks about other symptoms. I tell her about the drool collecting at the corners of my mouth. The burning sensation when I try to sleep. She nods and keeps writing. She gives me moisture drops from a cabinet and says I need to see an eye doctor soon because chronic dry eye can cause permanent damage. My corneas could get scarred. Then she hands me a referral slip and tells Ailsa she's documenting this as a mandatory report too. 2 reports now. By Tuesday afternoon, a woman named Kara Morrow from Child Protective Services calls the school and asks to meet with me. Ailsa sits with me during the interview in a small conference room. Kara has dark hair pulled back and a folder full of papers. She asks if I have any documentation. I pull out my phone and show her photos. The tape on my forehead that I took last week. The appointment cards from Dr. Stevens' office that I've been hiding in my backpack. The before pictures where my face could move. Kara looks at each photo carefully. She asks if she can take screenshots. I hand her my phone and she photographs the evidence with her own device. Kara asks careful questions about whether I feel safe at home, whether Mom has ever hurt me physically beyond the procedures. I try to explain it's not like hitting. It's more like she won't let me be a person. She controls my face and my expressions and my body. Kara writes that down word for word. She asks about the Brazil trip. I tell her December 20th. 6 weeks away. Surgery to remove facial muscles permanently. Kara's pen moves faster across her notepad. She asks if Mom has my passport. I say yes. She asks if there are other family members. I mention my aunt, but we're not close. Kara closes her folder and says she'll be in touch soon. That night, Mom notices I'm quieter than usual. We're eating dinner at the kitchen table. Chicken and rice. She asks if something happened at the school. I lie and say I'm just tired. My voice sounds flat even to my own ears. She watches me closely through dinner. Her eyes follow my movements. When I reach for water. When I cut my chicken. I can feel her suspicion growing. She asks if I talked to anyone today. I say just teachers and friends like normal. She studies my face, but I keep it blank. Years of practice keeping my expression frozen. For once, the paralysis helps me hide. Wednesday morning, Mom knocks on my bedroom door before school and walks in carrying a small white box. She sets it on my dresser and starts unpacking a camera with a wide lens. I ask what she's doing, and she smiles that frozen smile where only her mouth corners move. She says it's for my safety since I've been acting strange lately. She mounts the camera on top of my bookshelf where it can see my whole room. She pulls out her phone and shows me the app where she can watch the live feed anytime from anywhere. I can see my own room on her screen, my bed and desk and the window. She says she just wants to make sure I'm okay and taking care of myself. I nod and my stomach feels sick. She taps the app and shows me she can also look back at recordings from earlier. She says she loves me and this is what good mothers do. After she leaves, I sit on my bed and stare at the camera lens. I realize she's tightening control because she senses something shifting. She knows I'm different somehow, even though I've been careful. At lunch, I sit with Ali at our usual table in the corner of the cafeteria. He's eating pizza and I'm pushing pasta around my plate. I look at him and then look away and then look back. He asks if I'm okay, and I shake my head. I break Mom's secrecy rule for the second time in a week and tell him everything. About the cameras now watching me. About the Brazil trip in 6 weeks. About the surgery to remove my facial muscles permanently. About how CPS is investigating. But Mom got advance notice. Ali doesn't act shocked or tell me I'm overreacting. He just asks what I need and actually listens to my answer. I say I need a phone Mom doesn't know about. He nods and says he'll take care of it. Thursday morning, Ali finds me before first period and hands me a plastic shopping bag. Inside is a cheap prepaid phone still in the package from the convenience store. He walks me through the setup during study hall, showing me how to create it without connecting to any of my accounts. He says don't use your real name or email and don't let it connect to your home Wi-Fi. I thank him and my voice cracks. After school, I hide the phone inside a tampon box under my bathroom sink where Mom would never look. That night, I start collecting evidence systematically. I use the burner phone to photograph everything I can find. Appointment cards from Dr. Stevens' office going back 3 years. Receipts for procedures with dates and costs. The notebook where Mom tracks my injection sites in careful handwriting. The tape she makes me wear at night sitting on my nightstand. I photograph the camera in my room. The moisture goggles the nurse gave me. Everything that proves what's been happening. Friday afternoon during last period, the burner phone vibrates in my pocket. I ask to use the bathroom and call Kara back from a stall. She explains the initial report is filed, but CPS moves slowly. She's scheduled a home visit for next week, but warns me that Mom will get advance notice and time to prepare. She says keep documenting everything and stay safe. I ask what happens if Mom takes me to Brazil before anything changes. Kara goes quiet for a second and then says we're working on preventing that. Saturday morning, Mom leaves for her own appointment and I go into her office. I search through her desk drawers carefully, putting everything back exactly where I found it. In the bottom drawer under some files, I find the contract she made me sign when I was 11. I pull it out and read it now with different eyes. It's full of crazy language about beauty maintenance and parental guidance and my agreement to follow her treatment plan. I photograph every page with the burner phone. The signature at the bottom is mine, but I was 11 and didn't understand what I was signing. Monday during lunch, I use the school library computer to search for the medical board complaint hotline. My hands shake as I dial the number from my burner phone in the bathroom. A woman answers and I report Dr. Stevens for performing cosmetic procedures on a minor without proper consent. She asks questions and I answer them all. She asks if I'm in immediate danger and I say not today but soon. I tell her about Brazil and the planned surgery to remove facial muscles. I tell her about the double dose that paralyzed my face. She takes down all the details and gives me a case number. She says someone will follow up within 2 weeks. Tuesday after school, I'm in my room doing homework when I hear Mom's phone ring downstairs. I hear her answer and then her voice changes. She's talking in a strained way about misunderstandings and privacy concerns. I creep to the top of the stairs and listen. She keeps saying things like this is a family matter and my daughter is fine and there's been some kind of mistake. When she hangs up, she's pale. She comes upstairs and stands in my doorway. She asks if I've been talking to anyone about our appointments. I lie and say no. She studies my face for a long time. She doesn't believe me. She holds out her hand and tells me to give her my phone. I hand over my regular phone. She says give her my laptop too. I get it from my desk and she takes it. She says I've lost privileges until I can be trusted. She says she's disappointed that I would betray our family privacy. I nod and keep my face blank. Inside, I'm grateful I already moved anything important to the burner phone hidden under the bathroom sink. Wednesday morning, Mom drives me to Dr. Stevens' office without warning. She woke me up early and said we had an appointment and I knew something was wrong because this wasn't on the regular schedule. The waiting room feels different today. The receptionist won't look at me when we check in. Dr. Stevens calls us back himself instead of having a nurse do it, and his smile looks tight. He sits behind his desk and slides a paper across to me. He says it's a privacy agreement, just standard procedure for all his patients. I read it and it's not standard at all. It says I agree not to discuss my treatments with anyone, including medical professionals, school staff, or family members. It says I understand that sharing private medical information could harm the doctor's reputation and practice. The words make my stomach hurt. I look up at Dr. Stevens and he still won't meet my eyes. He's looking at his desk, at the wall, anywhere but at me. I put the pen down. I say I'm not signing this. Mom's voice gets sharp immediately. She says, of course I'm signing it. Don't be difficult. Dr. Stevens holds up his hand and cuts her off mid-sentence. He says maybe we should reschedule. Give everyone time to think. His voice sounds careful, like he's picking each word. Mom starts to argue, but he's already standing up. The receptionist is watching through the open door and I can see her face. She looks uncomfortable, maybe even worried. She glances at me and then away fast. I realize this woman has seen me come here for years, has watched Mom bring me in over and over, and maybe she's finally seeing something wrong with it. We leave without another appointment scheduled. Mom is quiet in the car, but I can feel her anger filling up the space between us. Thursday evening, Kara comes for her home visit. Mom spent all day cleaning even though the house was already clean. She baked cookies that are cooling on the counter. She changed her clothes 3 times before Kara arrived. When the doorbell rings, Mom takes a breath and her face shifts into something warm and welcoming. Kara comes in and Mom is perfect. She offers coffee and cookies. She sits on the couch and talks about how much she loves me, how she just wants the best for my future. She says she knows she can be overprotective sometimes, but it comes from a place of caring. I sit in the chair across from them and my face won't move. I can't smile or nod or look interested. I just sit there like a statue while Mom performs concern and devotion. Kara takes notes and asks questions about my school and my health. Mom answers everything with the right blend of worry and hope. She's so good at this. Kara asks if she can see my room. Mom says, of course, leads us upstairs. Kara walks in and her eyes go right to the camera. It's obvious, mounted on the wall facing my bed. She asks what it's for. Mom doesn't miss a beat. She says it's for my safety. I've been having some depression and she wants to make sure I'm okay. She says it gives her peace of mind when she's downstairs or out of the house. Kara writes something in her notebook but doesn't argue. She looks around at the tape on my nightstand, the moisture goggles, the completely bare walls. She thanks us and says she'll be in touch. After Kara leaves, Mom is almost giddy. She says, "See, there's nothing wrong here. They can see I'm fine." She says Kara could tell we're a normal family dealing with normal teenage stuff. She makes dinner and hums while she cooks. An hour later, my burner phone buzzes in my pocket. It's Kara. Her text says she saw through the whole performance. She says we're building a case and I need to just keep collecting evidence. She says document everything and stay safe. I delete the message and feel something like hope mixed with fear. Friday at the school, the teasing gets worse. My face still looks wrong from the double dose. One side droops more than the other. I can't close my left eye all the way. Someone in the hallway says, "Hey, Botox Barbie," loud enough for everyone to hear. The group around them laughs. I feel Ali tense up beside me. He starts to turn toward them, but I shake my head slightly. Fighting will only make everything worse. We keep walking. Ali doesn't say anything, but he stays close the rest of the day. That night, I wake up at 2 in the morning. My eyes are burning. The left one especially feels like something's scratching it every time I try to blink. I get up carefully, quiet, and go to the bathroom. I put in the moisture drops the nurse gave me. They help a little, but not enough. I look at myself in the mirror under the dim nightlight. My face looks wrong. Broken. I start crying, but I have to do it silently because of the camera in my room. I press my face into a towel to muffle any sound. I'm so tired. Tired of my own body being something I have to fight against. Tired of not being able to just exist without everything hurting or being monitored or controlled. I go back to bed and lie there with my eyes burning until morning comes. The weekend drags. Mom watches me constantly. She checks her phone every few minutes, looking at my location even though I'm sitting right there in the living room. Saturday afternoon, she makes me stand in front of the bathroom mirror. She says we're going to practice. She stands behind me and watches my reflection. I have to keep my face completely still for a full hour. Every time any muscle moves, even a tiny bit, she snaps her fingers next to my ear. The sound makes me flinch, and then she snaps again for flinching. By the end, my jaw aches from holding it rigid, and my eyes burn worse from not blinking enough. Sunday is more of the same. She follows me from room to room. She comments on everything. My posture, my expression, the way I'm sitting. She says I'm getting sloppy, forgetting everything we've worked for. Monday morning, the school nurse calls me down to the health office. I go during second period. She says the eye doctor can see me Wednesday afternoon. She arranged it as a school referral so insurance will cover it without Mom having to approve it first. She says she's going to send the records to CPS herself. She hands me the appointment card and tells me to keep it somewhere safe. I put it in my shoe. Wednesday afternoon, I take the bus to the eye doctor's office. The nurse gave me a pass that says I have a medical appointment. Mom doesn't know. The ophthalmologist is an older man with gray hair. He does a bunch of tests with lights and machines. He puts drops in my eyes that sting. He looks at my corneas with something that makes everything bright and blurry. When he's done, he sits back and asks me to explain what happened to my face. I tell him about the Botox, about the double dose, about not being able to close my eyes properly for months now. His expression changes. He looks horrified. He asks my age, and when I say 16, he shakes his head. He writes in my chart, his pen pressing hard into the paper. He says my corneas are getting damaged from exposure. He says chronic dry eye like this can cause permanent vision problems if it's not treated. He prescribes special nighttime moisture goggles and stronger drops. Then he writes something else. He shows me the chart where it says iatrogenic injury. He explains it means doctor-caused harm. He says this documentation will be important. He says he's required to report this. I leave with the prescription and a copy of his notes. Kara texts me that night saying she got the eye doctor's report. She says this is exactly the kind of evidence we need. She says keep going. We're building something real. The doctor hands me the prescription and says I need to use the goggles every night and the drops at least 6 times a day. He looks at me seriously and tells me I should never get Botox again, like I'm the one who chose this. I just nod because explaining feels impossible. But then he turns to his computer and types something into my medical record. He shows me the screen where it says his concern about the injections and the damage to my corneas. He explains this documentation goes into my permanent file with his name on it as the reporting doctor. I leave his office with the prescription paper folded in my pocket, and I text Kara on the burner phone to tell her about the medical record. She responds fast, saying this is exactly what we need for the case. Thursday evening, Mom sends me upstairs to do homework while she makes dinner. I go to my room, but then remember I need a pen from her office. I walk down the hall quietly and push open her office door. Her desk is covered with papers and folders. I start looking through the cup of pens on the corner when I see a document with a clinic logo at the top. I pull it closer and my stomach drops. It's a surgical consent form for the Brazil procedure. The clinic name is printed across the top with an address in São Paulo. My name is on the signature line at the bottom. The signature looks like mine, but I never signed this. Mom forged it. My hands shake as I pull out the burner phone and photograph every page. There are 3 pages total describing the muscle removal procedure and the risks. The date at the top says she filled this out 2 weeks ago. I hear her footsteps on the stairs and shove my phone back in my pocket. I grab a pen and walk out of her office just as she reaches the top step. She asks what I was doing and I hold up the pen. She watches me walk back to my room and I can feel her eyes on my back. Friday morning, I wake up early and go to my dresser where I keep my passport in the bottom drawer under my winter sweaters. I pull open the drawer and dig through the sweaters, but the passport isn't there. I check every drawer in my closet and under my bed. It's gone. I find Mom in the kitchen making coffee. I ask if she's seen my passport and she says she put it somewhere safe. I follow her to the living room where her purse sits on the side table. She's in the bathroom, so I open her purse and find both our passports inside a zippered pocket. There are 2 plane tickets folded behind them. I pull them out and read the dates. December 20th, 4 weeks from now. The return date is January 3rd. 2 weeks in Brazil for surgery and recovery. I take photos of everything with the burner phone and put it all back exactly how I found it. At the school Monday morning, Elsa calls me down to her office during second period. She closes the door and sits across from me. She says CPS is moving forward with the investigation, but the system is really slow. She's worried about the Brazil trip, because once I'm out of the country, there's nothing anyone can do. She writes down a phone number on a yellow sticky note and hands it to me. It's for a youth shelter downtown. She makes me promise to call them if I need to leave home suddenly before CPS can act. I fold the sticky note and put it in my shoe where Mom won't find it. Elsa hugs me before I leave and tells me to be careful. Monday afternoon, I'm in my room doing homework when I hear Mom's phone ring downstairs. She answers and her voice gets loud fast. I crack open my door and listen. She's talking to someone from the medical board. They sent a letter to the doctor's office requesting all my records for a preliminary inquiry. Mom is yelling about privacy and asking who made a complaint. She threatens legal action against whoever reported this. The person on the phone must say something because Mom goes quiet for a minute. Then she says this is harassment and hangs up. I close my door before she can come upstairs. Tuesday morning, Mom makes me sit at the kitchen table before school. She has her laptop open and shows me pictures of a white building with palm trees. It's the clinic in Brazil. She scrolls through photos of the operating rooms and recovery suites. She talks about how beautiful I'll look after the surgery. She describes exactly what they'll do. They'll make small incisions near my hairline and remove the muscles that cause frown lines between my eyebrows. Then they'll remove the muscles around my eyes that cause crow's feet. She says it's permanent because no muscle means no movement means no wrinkles ever. I feel sick listening to her describe cutting into my face. I try to tell her I don't want the surgery. The words come out quiet but clear. She keeps scrolling through pictures like I didn't speak. She shows me the hotel where we'll stay during recovery. She's already paid the deposit for the surgery. She pulls up the confirmation email and turns the laptop toward me. The deposit was $5,000 and it's non-refundable. She has the hotel booked too. She shows me that confirmation email with our names and the dates. She talks about what to pack and whether I'll need new clothes for the trip. She acts like this is a vacation we're both excited about. Wednesday after school, I take the bus to the address Elsa gave me for the youth shelter. It's in an older building downtown with a small sign by the door. I walk inside and a woman at the front desk asks if I need help. I tell her I'm just looking around. She takes me to an office where the coordinator sits. The coordinator is nice and explains how the shelter works. She says they have beds for teens in crisis situations. But when I ask about checking myself in, she shakes her head. She explains I can't just show up as a minor. I'd need to be placed here by CPS or the police. If I ran away and came here, they'd have to call my parents and return me home. I feel my hope drain away. The coordinator sees my face and asks if I'm in danger. I don't know how to answer that. She gives me a card with the shelter's crisis line number and tells me to call anytime. I leave feeling more trapped than before. Everyone keeps saying they're building a case and collecting evidence and moving forward. But Mom has plane tickets. She has a surgery date. She has my passport. Talking to adults hasn't actually stopped anything yet. Thursday, I skip lunch and go to the library. I use one of the public computers to search for information about emancipation. I read through legal websites explaining the process. I'd need to file a petition with the court. I'd need to prove I can support myself financially with a job and income. I'd need to show I have stable housing arranged. I'd need to demonstrate I can manage my own affairs. At 16 with no job and no place to go, it's completely impossible. I close the browser and sit there staring at the blank screen. The plane leaves in 3.5 weeks. Friday afternoon, I'm in the library during lunch period, sitting at one of the back computers where nobody usually goes. I'm staring at the emancipation requirements page again, even though I've already memorized why it won't work. My eyes burn, and I realize I'm crying. I try to stop, but can't. I hear footsteps and look up to see Ali standing there holding his lunch tray. He doesn't ask what's wrong or tell me it'll be okay. He just pulls out the chair next to me and sits down. We don't talk. He eats his sandwich and I cry quietly and try to breathe normally. After maybe 10 minutes, my breathing evens out. Ali stands up and leaves without saying anything. 20 minutes later, he comes back with 2 granola bars and sets them on the desk next to my keyboard. He still doesn't ask questions. He just nods once and walks away. I pick up one of the granola bars and eat it. I haven't eaten lunch in 3 days because the cafeteria feels too loud and exposed. The granola bar tastes like cardboard, but I finish it anyway. Friday night, Mom calls me into the living room after dinner. Her laptop is open on the coffee table. She pats the couch cushion next to her and tells me to sit. She's pulled up a folder of photos from the Brazil clinic. The first image shows a woman's face from the side with marks drawn on her forehead and around her eyes. Mom explains these are the incision points where they'll go in. She clicks to the next photo showing the same woman with small bandages along her hairline. Mom says the cuts are tiny and heal quickly. She scrolls through more pictures of different patients. Before and after shots. Women with smooth foreheads that don't move at all when they try to raise their eyebrows. Mom points at one photo and says this patient was 30, but now she'll never get forehead lines. She clicks to a document and reads aloud about the recovery process. 2 weeks of staying very still while everything heals inside. No facial movements at all during that time. Ice packs every few hours. Pain medication. Sleeping propped up on pillows. Mom's voice gets excited when she talks about how smooth my face will be forever. She shows me the hotel where we'll stay. She's already paid the deposit for the surgery. She pulls up the confirmation email and turns the laptop toward me. The deposit was $5,000 and it's non-refundable. She has the hotel booked too. She shows me that confirmation email with our names and the dates. She talks about what to pack and whether I'll need new clothes for the trip. She acts like this is a vacation we're both excited about. I sit there frozen watching her scroll through pictures of women who can't move their faces. That night, I lie in bed wearing the moisture goggles that cover my eyes and the tape stretched across my forehead. I can hear Mom moving around downstairs, cabinet doors opening and closing, water running, her footsteps crossing the kitchen floor. The camera on my dresser has a tiny red light that blinks every few seconds. I count the blinks. The plane leaves in 3.5 weeks, 24 days. CPS came to visit and nothing changed. The medical board opened an inquiry and I'm still here. Kara said they're building a case, but Mom has plane tickets and a surgery date and my passport. Monday morning, my burner phone vibrates in my backpack during homeroom. I wait until I get to the bathroom to check it. Kara's calling. I lock myself in the furthest stall and answer quietly. She tells me the medical board inquiry is open officially now. They're reviewing everything. She asks if I have any new evidence. I tell her about the forged consent form I found with my signature copied onto it. I tell her about the plane tickets for December 20th. Kara's voice gets sharper. She asks when I found these things. I say last week. She tells me to send her photos of everything right now. I explain I'm at the school, but I can do it during study hall from the library computer. She says that's fine, but do it today. She needs everything I have. Her tone is different from before. More urgent, less patient. I can hear papers rustling on her end. She tells me she's going to request an emergency hearing to prevent international travel. She says she needs all my evidence photos sent to her email within the next few hours. I promise I will. During study hall, I sign into my email on a library computer. I pull up all the photos I've taken on my burner phone over the past weeks. The contract from when I was 11. The appointment cards. The forged consent form. The plane tickets. The confirmation emails. The notebook where Mom tracks injection sites. Photos of the tape and goggles. Pictures of my face when the double dose made my eyelid droop. I attach everything to an email and send it to Kara's address. 47 attachments total. My hands shake while I wait for them to upload. Tuesday after school, I'm in my room doing homework when the doorbell rings. I hear Mom answer it. Then her voice gets loud. I go to the top of the stairs and see 2 people in the entryway showing Mom identification badges. They say they're from Child Protective Services and they need to come inside. Mom's face goes stiff. She asks if they have a warrant. They say they don't need one for a welfare check. Mom steps aside and lets them in. One investigator is a woman with gray hair pulled back. The other is a younger man carrying a tablet. They ask to see my room. Mom follows us upstairs. The woman asks Mom to wait downstairs while they talk to me. Mom starts to argue, but the man says it's required procedure. Mom goes back down the stairs. I can hear her pacing in the hallway below. The investigators look around my room slowly. The woman photographs the camera on my dresser with her phone. She opens my nightstand drawer and photographs the tape inside. She picks up the moisture goggles from my bathroom counter and photographs those too. They ask me to sit down. The man pulls up a form on his tablet. They ask about the Brazil trip. I tell them everything. The surgery to remove facial muscles, the hotel booking, the December 20th flight, the $5,000 deposit. Mom's voice rises from downstairs. She's on the phone with someone. Her words are muffled but angry. The investigators write everything down. They ask if I feel safe. I don't know how to answer that. They ask if Mom has ever hit me. I say no. They ask about the procedures and I explain the years of injections and the contract and the double dose that paralyzed my face. The woman takes more photos of my face from different angles. Wednesday morning, Mom barely looks at me at breakfast. She doesn't speak except to tell me to hurry up. At the school, she texts me twice before lunch asking where I am. I text back that I'm in class. She texts again an hour later. After school, she's waiting in the car with the engine already running. At home, she follows me from room to room. When I go to the bathroom, she stands outside the door. When I do homework in my room, she sits on my bed watching. She checks the camera feed on her phone constantly, even though I'm right there in front of her. That night, she comes into my room 3 times to check on me. I pretend to be asleep. I can feel her standing by my bed looking at me. Thursday at the school, Ailsa calls me to her office during second period. She tells me she filed an updated mandated report yesterday. She included information about the forged consent form and the Brazil travel plans. She explains that sometimes the system needs multiple reports from different sources before it takes action. Every piece of documentation helps build the case. She asks how I'm holding up. I tell her Mom won't leave me alone. Ailsa writes something down. She says to call her immediately if anything escalates. Thursday night, I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth when I hear sounds from my room. I walk back in and Mom is going through my backpack. She's checking every pocket and pulling out notebooks. She looks up when she sees me. She asks where my phone is. I point to my regular phone charging on the desk. She says the other one. I tell her I don't know what she means. She dumps my backpack completely out on the bed. She goes through my bathroom drawers. She checks under my mattress and inside my pillowcases. She doesn't find anything because I moved the burner phone to my locker at the school that morning. Some instinct told me to hide it better. Mom leaves my room without putting anything back. My stuff stays scattered across the bed. I sit down on the floor next to the mess and count days again. 3 weeks and 1 day until the plane leaves. Burner phone stays in my locker where she can't find it. Wednesday morning at the shelter, the therapist sits across from me in a small office with soft chairs and a box of tissues on the table. She doesn't ask me to explain everything at once. She asks what I need today, and I say I don't know. And she nods like that's okay. She talks about trauma and control and uses words like coercive and autonomy. And when she says what happened to me has a name, I feel something shift inside my chest. Medical abuse, psychological control. It's real. I'm not making it up or being dramatic like Mom always said. The therapist explains that my body learned to freeze as protection, and now I have to teach it that moving is safe again. She gives me homework to practice making one facial expression in the mirror each day, just to prove I can. Thursday afternoon, Kara arrives with a folder full of paperwork and sits with me in the shelter common room. She explains temporary foster placement with my Aunt Sheila, Mom's younger sister, who I've maybe seen 5 times in my life. Sheila came to the court hearing and told the judge she'd been worried for years, but didn't know how to intervene, and now she's offering me a room in her house across town. Kara shows me photos Sheila sent of the bedroom, plain and simple with blue walls and an empty desk. No cameras. Sheila works as a nurse and lives alone and told Kara she understands medical trauma. I sign papers agreeing to the placement, and Kara promises to check on me twice a week minimum. The next court hearing happens 2 weeks later, and I sit in the waiting area with Kara while Mom arrives with her lawyer. She looks smaller somehow. Her face still frozen, but her shoulders curved inward. Her lawyer presents a case plan where she'll attend therapy twice weekly, and all contact with me will be supervised through CPS. The judge reads through the plan and asks Mom directly if she understands the seriousness of the medical abuse findings. Mom's lawyer answers for her, but the judge interrupts and makes Mom respond. She says yes in a voice I barely recognize. The judge extends the travel block indefinitely and adds a provision that any medical or cosmetic procedures for me require court approval until I'm 18. Mom's lawyer objects, but the judge shuts it down fast. I move to Aunt Sheila's house the first week of December, and everything feels strange. She shows me my room and the bathroom and says I can arrange things however I want. At dinner, she makes pasta and we eat at the kitchen table, and she doesn't comment on my face or watch how I chew. I catch myself freezing when I reach for my water glass, that old habit of moving as little as possible, and then I remember I don't have to anymore. Sheila notices and doesn't say anything, just keeps eating her own food. That night, I sleep in a room with no camera and wake up confused about where I am. The medical board sends Dr. Stevens a formal letter in mid-December requiring him to complete ethics training and implement new protocols for treating minors. Kara tells me it's not a full license suspension, but it's significant. He can't perform cosmetic procedures on anyone under 18 without a third-party oversight now, and the board is reviewing all his minor patient files. Kara says it might lead to more consequences later, but these things take time. By winter break, I'm settling into a routine that feels almost normal. Therapy twice a week where I'm learning to recognize my own feelings instead of just Mom's reactions. Regular appointments with the eye doctor who says my corneas are healing now that I can blink properly. The Botox is finally wearing off after months, and I can move my eyebrows again. Tiny movements that feel huge. Sometimes I stand in front of Aunt Sheila's bathroom mirror and practice expressions just because I can. Raising my eyebrows, frowning, smiling with my whole face instead of just my mouth corners. My forehead wrinkles when I concentrate, and I don't care. Mom writes me letters that come through her therapist to Kara to Aunt Sheila, who reads them first and asks if I want to see them. I say not yet. Maybe someday I'll be ready for supervised visits, but right now I'm learning what it feels like to own my own face. School is still hard, and kids still stare at my drooping eyelid and the way my face moves wrong sometimes. But Ali eats lunch with me every day, and doesn't ask questions about the foster placement. Ailsa checks in with me weekly, and we talk about college applications and normal future things. I'm starting to imagine a future where I get to decide what happens to my body, where I can laugh without counting the cost in wrinkles, where my face belongs to me.